Dusty with Dusty's Barbecue here. Starting off here, from Idaho Groceries, I got a 5.5 pound choice grade whole ribeye. And we're going to take and we're going to smoke this whole ribeye here today. But we're going to show you guys how we break it down, how we trim it, how we smoke it, how we slice it, the whole thing. So anytime you guys buy your meat, the one thing that you want to look for is marbling. And when I say marbling, what I mean are these striations that go through the meat, those white striations. The more you see, the better piece of meat that you have. It came from a higher quality cow. The first thing that I like to do is really start attacking this fat cap right here. And for me, I want to get as much smoke and as much seasoning around the outside of this as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and start to peel this fat cap off here. One of the other things too, let's see if we'll find some, is I want to get rid of silver skin, which is actually this piece right here. If you guys can see that right there, the silver skin. Okay, this part right here, the silver skin, you're never going to get any seasoning past that right there. And it's chewy. You're fine with that. That's going to render down. We just want to get rid of that silver skin and that big fat cap. Okay, so now, next part here, okay? You guys are going to notice I've left this part right here intact, okay? This whole part right here is nothing but fat. So if you look here on the side, you can see that there is a natural seam right here in between that fat chunk and your meat. I'm going to follow that natural seam. See how it kind of pulls apart? And all I have to do is just slice it and it'll come right off. And just to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about, if I cut this in half, you'll see that there is little to no meat whatsoever on that piece of fat. It's all fat. That gives me the ability to put smoke and meat, or smoke and seasoning, all the way around this entire roast. Part here, all right, we're going to talk about the seasoning portion of this. The first thing I like to do is add a coat of just regular old classic mustard. And you don't need much. This serves two purposes. The first purpose, obviously, is to get the seasonings to stick to the meat. Because throughout the cooking process and moving it and turning it and the juices rendering out, you're going to lose some seasoning. So this really helps with getting that seasoning to stick to the meat. And the second part, it's got a little bit of vinegar in it, so it's going to help, obviously, to tenderize it. So as you can see, we don't have a lot of mustard on there, and you don't need a lot of mustard. You just need enough to get the seasoning to stick. Now, with my seasoning, all this is salt and pepper. 50% salt, 50% pepper right here, okay? And what I like to do is flip this little lid open, because as the seasoning comes out, it really cascades out. And when you shake here, when you get your seasoning down, okay, I like to get a good thick coating on there. And I would like to make sure that I keep the shaker up high away from the meat. And that helps with evenly dispersing. Now, some of you guys are probably saying, oh my God, that's a lot of seasoning. Well, it might look like it, but you have to remember that this is a huge piece of meat. This is not just a steak. This is 5.5 pounds. It takes a lot of seasoning. It can take a lot of seasoning. One thing that I personally like to do is take an additional scoop of pepper and season it to my liking. For me, I like Texas style barbecue, how things are done in Texas. I like the thicker pepper. And I know everybody has their opinions on how this is done. I like to pat the seasoning in, I think it pushes in there and it sits in there really nicely. So we're going to put it on the pit at 275 degrees. And we're going to smoke this until it hits the internal temperature that we're looking for. For this particular meat, for me, I'm going to cook this piece of meat until it hits an internal temperature of 120 degrees. And then I'm going to pull it off. At that point, we're going to let it rest for a while, and then we'll slice it. So we're over here at the pit now, and I've got the pit pre-warmed up to 275, okay? Let's get this piece of meat on the pit. We'll go ahead and get this bad boy on there. So we're going to let this piece of meat sit here for about 2.5 hours before I even look at it. I'm not going to open the door. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to sit here and do anything with it aside from maybe spray it with some apple juice and apple cider vinegar. So leave the door closed. If you're looking, you ain't cooking. Okay, guys. Hey, Dusty here. A recap on what we've done so far. We've trimmed the brisket, seasoned it, got it on the smoker, smoked it at 275 degrees with our hickory wood, and now it's time to take it off. It's hit the temperature that we want it to hit, and going to get it off, take it up to the house, let it rest for a little bit, and then slice it open. We'll show you guys that right now. There we go. Smells like heaven. You guys need smell-o-vision. Nice bark, nice crust. Super juicy and tender. Alright, let's take you guys inside. Prime rib off the smoker. We've let it rest for at least 30 minutes. Okay, now it's time to slice into this thing and see what it looks like and talk about how I like to slice it. You want to come on over here and check this out. So, again, you can slice it however thick you want. We're going to go with about 1 inch right here. We'll go with that. Perfectly done, medium rare. Juicy as all get out. Look at all that juice coming out. I think we should start cutting ourselves off a piece.
Yeah.
And just so you guys know, the person behind the camera is the rustic rancher himself, Seth Anderson. All right, let's see what we got. A little salty, peppery, juicy, really tender, almost fall apart. Chop it up and make Philly cheesesteak sandwiches with your leftovers. Alright guys, so instead of having the same ham dinner for Christmas, try some prime ribeye smoked by Dusty's Barbecue. Or, if you'd like, you really want to mix it up, have some smoked brisket by Dusty's Barbecue. Appreciate you guys watching this video, and I hope you liked it. And as always, please click the like button and subscribe. And I appreciate every one of you guys that shared this video. Thanks a lot. Merry Christmas.